As a lifelong bachelor, Victor Wong suddenly woke up one morning to find a little girl calling him dad. To make matters more complicated, he was also gifted a cold and aloof female CEO, all because he had saved this little girl 3 days prior. Little did he know, the girl's mother directly wanted to marry her off to him, offering a staggering $1 billion as a dowry. Terrified, Victor Wong felt the urge to flee on a midnight flight, only to be captured by 3,000 men in black. That day, after stepping out of a banquet, Victor Wong, feeling dizzy from the alcohol, was drawn to a small figure. Amidst the bustling traffic, a little girl with short legs was slowly walking down the street. At that moment, a large truck blared its horn wildly, but the girl seemed oblivious. Without thinking twice, Victor Wong rushed over and scooped her up. "It's pouring rain, and you're out here all alone. It's very dangerous, do you know that? Who are your parents?" The girl said nothing, only clinging tightly to Victor Wong's neck. Looking at her in his arms, Victor Wong couldn't shake the feeling that she resembled him in some way. But he was only 22, having graduated from university just 2 months ago, and he didn't even have a girlfriend. How could he possibly have a daughter? Shaking off the whimsical thoughts, Victor Wong hailed a taxi, intending to take the girl to the nearest police station. He gently pinched her cheek. It was soft like cotton. He tried every possible way to get her to speak, but all his efforts were in vain. Just as Victor Wong was struggling to communicate with her, a series of car crashes erupted behind them. A violent collision caused the car to burst into flames. The girl in his arms began to cry uncontrollably. Victor Wong hurriedly wiped her tears, then used his last bit of strength to push her out of the car, while he himself was left utterly exhausted. Slowly closing his eyes, painful memories flooded his mind. Meanwhile, in another location, Willow coldly glanced at Snowly. "This is where Nina went missing. She's so special. How could you take her out?" Snowly whispered. "Sister, I just wanted to take Nina out for a little shopping. I didn't expect her to get lost. I really didn't mean to." A few assistants standing nearby trembled in fear. That was the daughter their CEO cared about the most precious little princess in the capital. And now she was lost. Half an hour later, Found her! Found her! Several black-clad female bodyguards carried Nina over, her face and clothes covered in dirt. She eagerly pointed towards the burning car behind. Snowly hugged Nina, crying, "Do you know how worried I was about you?" But Nina struggled violently. Willow took Nina in her arms, wiping the dirt off her face. "Why didn't you listen?" Nina wriggled down from Willow's embrace and scampered ahead. Willow took Nina in her arms, wiping the dirt off her face. "Why didn't you listen?" Nina wriggled down from Willow's embrace and scampered ahead. Willow and Snowly could only follow behind with the bodyguards. After walking for a while, Nina stopped next to a burning car. She raised her tiny hands, ready to rush in. Willow immediately stopped her. "Nina, that car is on fire and could explode. You can't touch it." Nina ignored her, flailing to open the car door. Willow commanded, "Kieran West, open the car door and see if anyone's inside." Kieran West opened the door, but it was empty. Nina, anxious, climbed down from Willow and tried to rush in again. "Go find out if anyone was taken to a hospital." Willow patted Nina's head and lifted her into the car. "Don't worry, I'll take you to the hospital soon." Nina's dark eyes gazed out the window, seemingly a bit worried. Willow had never seen Nina like this. Who could possibly make her so anxious? Half an hour later, everything was investigated thoroughly. The car sped down the road. People's Hospital number 1 in the city. Victor Wong lay on the cold hospital bed, vaguely hearing the doctors talking. This person is really lucky. He only has minor injuries. As for the driver of that car, things are looking grim. Who knows when I'll wake up again? After that, Victor Wong fell back into a deep sleep. At that moment, the door swung open, and Nina rushed in anxiously, climbing onto Victor Wong's hospital bed, her tiny hands grasping his. A doctor frowned and asked, "May I ask who you are? Please don't disturb the patient while he rests." Willow raised an eyebrow and coldly replied, "Willow." The doctors were taken aback. Willow was the highest authority in the Willow Corporation, the most powerful figure in the city. It could be said that if Willow wanted chaos, the city would not remain peaceful. Suddenly, Willow quietly asked, "What is the patient's condition?" A male doctor respectfully replied, "He is only injured. He may wake up tomorrow." The doctors then gradually stepped outside. After that, Willow slowly approached, looking at the man in the hospital bed up close. Perhaps it was the first time she had seen such a handsome man. She couldn't help but glance at him a few more times. Snowly, standing beside her, curiously asked, "Hey, why do you keep staring at him?" Willow realized and withdrew her gaze. "He will wake up tomorrow. Nina, be good and go home with your mother. We'll come back to visit Uncle tomorrow." When he awoke, it was already dark. He sensed a familiar breath lingering nearby. Opening his eyes, he saw a woman under the white light. She wore a stunning black and red dress, her cold eyes looking down at him with an air of arrogance. "You're awake." Victor Wong awkwardly averted his gaze. "You're awake. The person you saved today is my daughter." Victor Wong glanced at the cold woman before him, feeling that she and Nina were completely different. At that moment, a beautiful face leaned closer. "Hello, I'm Nina's aunt. Thank you for saving her. Victor Wong thought this woman resembled Nina's mother more, and he felt she looked somewhat familiar, as if he had seen her somewhere before. It was just a small matter. No need for formalities. Willow stared at Victor Wong for a long time before slowly speaking. Go ahead. What do you want? Victor Wong waved his hand. I just helped out casually. I don't need any rewards. Willow frowned. No need? Why not? Just say what you want. I can accommodate it. Then, could you give me some money? Speak up. How much do you want? I was just joking. Can I meet Nina one more time? It's late now. Nina has already gone to sleep. I'll bring her to see you tomorrow. Do you really have no other requests? Really none. Just being alive is already great. Snowy secretly admired Victor Wong, who saved her little princess without asking for anything in return. Such people were truly rare. As Willow stepped out of the car and entered the living room, she heard the sound of a vase shattering. Nina, barefoot, was smashing a vase on the ground, then frantically overturning tables and kicking chairs. The entire living room was in disarray because of her. A few maids, seeing the young lady return, hurriedly reported, little young lady has gone mad again. We simply can't stop her. Snowy was heartbroken, nearly in tears. My little ancestor, why are you breaking things again? This is an antique vase that Grandpa just bought at auction. Do you know how much it costs? 100 billion. Willow stepped forward, squatted down beside Nina, and gently rubbed her little head. Nina, be good tonight, and tomorrow I'll take you to see that uncle. Nina immediately transformed into a well-behaved child, putting down the things in her hands and smiling with her little face flushed. Snowy twitched her mouth. No matter how she tried to persuade her just now, it didn't work. Her sister only had to say one sentence to calm this little ancestor down. The surrounding maids were also stunned. When the little ancestor went wild, no one could stop her. Who was that man? A while later, Nina obediently bathed, then lay on the bed, covered with a blanket, and closed her eyes. Willow looked at Nina suspiciously. So, Nina becomes this obedient just upon hearing the name Victor Wong. The next day, Victor Wong, dressed in patient clothes, got out of bed, preparing to go downstairs to buy food by himself. He didn't dare hope for someone to take care of him. After all, his family members all wished for his demise. Victor Wong opened the door to his room and bumped into Willow, instinctively stepping back. Suddenly, he felt something wrap around his leg. He looked down to see Nina hugging his leg, her dark eyes gazing up at him. Victor Wong picked Nina up. Nina, are you hurt anywhere? Nina shook her head, her tiny arms clinging tightly to him, incredibly obedient. Snowy stared in disbelief. Was this really the little troublemaker who used to smash things around the house? Why did she change upon seeing him? Willow reminded him. Your injury hasn't healed yet. You can't carry Nina. You should let her down first. Hearing this, Victor Wong set Nina down on the hospital bed. It's okay, Nina. Do you like candy? Tomorrow, I'll buy you some lollipops. Snowy pouted. Her little troublemaker, at 2 years old, had already stopped eating lollipops. But Nina nodded vigorously. Snowy was confused. Didn't you say you don't eat them? When you were 2, you threw away the whole jar of lollipops and said you didn't want to eat such childish things. Victor Wong held Nina tightly. Nina is really good. Victor Wong, my sister and I purposely brought food from home for you. We weren't sure what you liked, so we brought a few dishes. Aren't you the one who told me to bring food from home? Did I say something wrong? Shut up. No one thinks you're mute. Snowy could only obediently keep quiet, carrying in a large thermal container, as big as a safe. Victor Wong looked at the meal in front of him. Ginseng, Buddha jumps over the wall, and king crab, and was momentarily stunned. Is this how extravagant a meal is? Does your family have a mind? Nina tugged at Victor Wong's hand, offering him chopsticks. Snowy silently wiped her tears. She had lived with Nina for 3 years, and Nina had never offered her chopsticks before. With so many people watching, Victor Wong felt a bit awkward eating. However, the food was genuinely delicious. He picked up a piece of fish for Nina. Nina, do you want to eat this? I'll take the bones out for you. Nina opened her mouth wide and finished the piece in one bite. Snowy almost dropped her jaw in shock. This little ancestor didn't eat fish, only drank milk from one specific brand, and couldn't have even a hint of vegetables in her food. Then, she saw Victor Wong give Nina a small piece of vegetable, and Nina obediently ate it all. Indeed, this little troublemaker treated them and Victor Wong differently. Willow observed everything with a serious expression and said, Victor Wong, I'll ask you one more time, what exactly do you want in return? Victor Wong looked up. I really don't need anything in return. I really like Nina. If possible, could I visit her occasionally? Sure. After a while, she suddenly said, you can choose to marry me, and then you can see Nina every day. Snowy Chung fiddled with her ear, thinking she must have misheard. Her sister, who didn't even have eyes for the young masters of the Kin family or the eldest son of the Fo family, was now interested in Victor Wong. Victor Wong was also stunned, his chopsticks falling to the ground. What had he just heard? Willow Chung continued. The CEO of Lu Corporation marrying you is not a loss for you. As soon as she finished speaking, Victor Wong completely forgot how to respond. He had heard rumors that she didn't like men, and now she was saying to him, Willow Chung wanted to marry him. Was he dreaming? Victor Wong was shocked for a long time before coming back to his senses. Right now, I have no intention of getting married, and besides, I'm just an ordinary person, not worthy of Lu Tong. Willow Chung stared at Victor Wong, her voice low. It's not about being worthy or not. Nina likes you. Hearing this, Victor Wong immediately felt like retreating. I think my injury has healed, so I'll take my leave. Several female bodyguards at the door blocked Victor Wong. Willow Chung frowned. Victor Wong, don't you want? Victor Wong slightly lowered his gaze. I'm not worthy of Lu Tong. Let's just drop it. Nina likes me, and I can visit her often. After what happened 4 years ago, I won't like anyone else anymore. Willow Chung was silent for a moment. I'm not forcing you. If you have free time, you can come to the Cam 2 villa to visit Nina. Her situation is not like other children. Hearing this, Victor Wong also realized that this little girl seemed unable to speak. Understand. Nina is the sweetest child I've ever met. This statement made the corners of Snowy Cheng's mouth twitch. Nina was the great demon king of trouble, but she was very well behaved when she saw him. When would she get to see the little demon behave like this? After a while, Victor Wong finished his meal. Only then did Willow Chung stand up. Nina, let's go home. Uncle needs to rest. His body hasn't recovered yet. Hearing this, Nina finally let go of Victor Wong and obediently walked to her mother's side. Just then, the phone on the table rang. Victor Wong picked up the phone, and a shrill female voice came through. Victor Wong, you must win over Lai Tong tonight, or you'll never be able to lift your head again. At the Thien Tin Hotel, Lover's Room, 520. Be there at 8 p.m. sharp. Victor Wong wanted to explain, but the call was already disconnected. Lai Tong was a fierce female tycoon who had been divorced for several years and was rumored to be supporting many young talents in the entertainment industry. Willow Chung looked at Victor Wong and quietly asked, Do you need my help? Hearing this, Victor Wong waved his hand. No need. Although I saved the little princess of the Lu family, the Lu family is a large clan, and internal conflicts must be very fierce. I don't want to get involved. Willow Chung didn't say anything more, holding Nina's hand and turning to leave. Nina took 3 steps, looked back once, and waved her small hand. Snowy Chung anxiously said, Victor Wong, if you have any difficulties, just say it. The sisters will definitely help you solve it. Victor Wong replied softly, I can handle it myself, but I really do have a question. I heard that Lu Tong likes women. So where did that child beside her come from? Willow Chung stopped in her tracks as she reached the door. Snowy Chung also whispered, This was an accident. Everyone in the city wants to be Nina's father. If you regret it now, there's still a chance. Willow Chung tilted her ear to listen, but simply didn't need it. After that, she left. In the evening, when Victor Wong arrived at the company, his head still bandaged, Chu Dike angrily scolded, Your biggest asset right now is this face. How do you plan to serve Lai Tong tonight? At that moment, a male voice chimed in. Victor Wong being noticed by Lai Tong is an honor for you. Others haven't even had that chance. The speaker was Kai Pham, a young talent supported by Jia Hoa Entertainment, and also the male lead of this film. Chu Dike continued coldly. Victor Wong, just tonight. Who knows, she might even introduce other resources to you. I'm only doing this for your own good. Hearing this, Victor Wong sneered. Don't worry, I'll go and mess this up. After that, Victor Wong finished his makeup, got into the car, and headed straight to the hotel, going directly to room 520. He approached the door and gently knocked. President Lee, it's Victor Wong. He had thought it through. He would directly tear off the mask, forcing President Lee to withdraw his investment. The door opened, and the person Victor Wong saw was not that aged face, but Willow Chung. She wore a long, deep V-neck red wine dress, and as she stepped forward, Victor Wong could vaguely see a patch of creamy white skin before her chest. Victor Wong froze. He quietly averted his gaze. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Willow Chung crossed her legs, sitting on the sofa with a glass of red wine in hand, gently swirling it. I'm temporarily taking over the investment for this film. What's wrong? You look disappointed? Or is your taste a bit more unique? Victor Wong immediately shook his head. No, it's just a bit surprising. Why did you suddenly take over the investment? Isn't your company Tian Shun? Willow Chung set her wine glass down. That's Snowy Cheng's company. Why want to invest and has nothing to do with her? Victor Wong took a few steps forward and asked, So why did you suddenly invest? Is it because this film has commercial value? Or Willow Chung suddenly interrupted Victor Wong, her cold expression softening a bit. So why did you suddenly invest? Is it because this film has commercial value? Or the direct statement left Victor Wong speechless. What do you mean? Because you saved Nina. Victor Wong suddenly realized, thinking that Willow Chung had feelings for him. It turned out to be that. But I don't intend to let anyone from Jiahua Entertainment get involved. Willow Chung set her wine glass down. You mean you want me to withdraw my investment? Hearing this, Victor Wong replied, That's right, you should withdraw. Jiahua Entertainment isn't worth it. Willow Chung suddenly stood up, her slender fingers lifting Victor Wong's chin. Then don't let me down. The corners of Willow Cheng's mouth curled into a smile, her fox-like eyes lifting slightly, carrying a hint of charm. Victor Wong's heart raced, and with a dry throat, he said, I'll do my best. Willow Cheng placed a small bottle into Victor Wong's hand. Apply the medicine carefully. Don't let it get infected. Victor Wong snapped back to reality, and Willow Cheng had already left the room. After she left, Victor Wong punched his chest. Stop hitting yourself. It's so embarrassing. I should go thank Willow Cheng tomorrow. After all, it's a big favor. The next day, Zhu Yi received news, and the entire company was filled with a joyful atmosphere. Then, Kai Pham approached Victor Wong, a look of disdain on his face, saying, Victor Wong, thanks to you this time, did you really win over President Lee? I heard that old lady is the hardest to please. Victor Wong, thanks to you this time, did you really win over President Lee? I heard that old lady is the hardest to please. Hearing this, Victor Wong replied coldly, Kai Pham, do you think if I whisper sweet nothings in President Lee's ear, she would give me the male lead? Kai Pham's face turned green and white. Victor Wong, with you, a nameless nobody, just getting the second male lead is already generous. You still want the male lead? Zhu Yi also spoke coldly. Victor Wong, even though you've won over President Lee, the male lead this time can only be Kai Pham. Victor Wong shrugged, whatever. At noon, after the banquet, Victor Wong hurried to the supermarket. He carefully selected a few beautiful Barbie dolls and then bought Willow Cheng a string of Kuromi keychains. After that, he took a taxi to the villa area. This was the first time Victor Wong had seen such a high-end area for the wealthy. Previously, when he was at the Wong family home, although it could be considered a wealthy family, the Wong family didn't have the standing to be in this place. Victor Wong arrived at the gate, rang the doorbell, and the door immediately opened, but he was mocked by a few bodyguards as a country bumpkin. Just then, Snowy Chung walked past the hallway, and she immediately ran over, grabbing Victor Wong's hand and pulling him inside. Victor Wong, you finally made it. Our little troublemaker almost wrecked the house today, insisting on seeing you. Come inside with me. Snowy Chung pulled Victor Wong along, bewildered as he asked. But Nina is so well-behaved. How could she possibly cause trouble? Snowy Chung sighed. That little rascal breaks things every day. Her temper is quite fiery. You'll see for yourself in a moment. As they entered the living room, Victor Wong found Nina sitting quietly on the sofa, reading a book, despite the slight mess around her. I told you. How could such a cute Nina possibly cause trouble? Snowy Chung looked confused. Wasn't that little rascal just breaking things? Or has she gone blind? Moreover, this little ancestor was now sitting quietly reading. Hearing the noise, Nina looked up, saw Victor Wong, and immediately threw her book aside, leaping into his arms. Victor Wong smiled and hugged her. Nina, I bought you a Barbie doll today. Do you like Barbie dolls? Snowy Chung pouted. My little troublemaker is over a year old and doesn't play with Barbie dolls anymore. But Nina nodded vigorously, clutching the Barbie doll tightly, and even gave Victor Wong a kiss. Snowy Chung could only silently wipe away her tears from the side. It had been 3 years since Nina had kissed her. After that, Victor Wong and Nina played with the Barbie dolls until 5 p.m., when Willow Chung returned home from work. As soon as she stepped through the door, she saw Victor Wong and Nina sitting together harmoniously. Victor Wong looked up and was once again struck by Willow Cheng's beauty. He quietly tucked the gift into his bag and then said, Willow, thank you for last night. Willow Chung sat down next to Victor Wong and casually replied, It's nothing. Then she turned to Snowy Chung. You go tell the kitchen to prepare dinner. Hearing this, Snowy Chung immediately dashed off to the kitchen. Meanwhile, Willow Chung sat very close to Victor Wong, accidentally brushing against his arm, and he could even smell the faint fragrance on her. Victor Wong subtly shifted away, but Willow Chung moved closer, eventually cornering him against the wall. Victor Wong stood up directly and said to Nina, Nina, I have to go home now. Can I come visit you again in 2 days? Upon hearing this, Nina immediately tossed her doll aside and ran to hug Victor Wong. Willow Chung looked at Victor Wong and said, Victor Wong, stay for dinner. Nina wants to have dinner with you. Out of consideration for the adorable girl, Victor Wong reluctantly stayed. During dinner, Nina sat directly in Victor Wong's lap. Willow, can Nina eat fish? Willow Chung turned to look at Victor Wong. Sure. Don't call me Willow, just call me by my name. Victor Wong hesitated and said Willow Chung. A smile appeared on Willow Cheng's cold face, and she picked up a piece of steak and placed it in Victor Wong's bowl. Eat properly. You're so thin that a gust of wind could blow you away. Victor Wong was momentarily speechless. The pressure was too great, and he had chronic stomach issues. Snowy Chung watched in astonishment as her sister served food to Victor Wong, nearly dropping her jaw. Was this really her cold sister? Throughout their childhood, her sister had never once served her food. After finishing the piece of steak, Victor Wong peeled crab for Nina, who was eating with her cheeks puffed out. Lu Ning suddenly spoke up. Victor Wong, Nina really likes you. Why don't you move to the Cam 2 villa area? Victor Wong, who had just taken a sip of water, nearly spat it out. Moved to the Cam2 villa area, but having a man living in a girl's house isn't very good. Lu, I'm fine living in my apartment. I've gotten used to it after a few months. Lu Ning raised an eyebrow. Call me by my name. Hearing this, Victor Wong continued. Lu Ning, as a man, it's not very appropriate for me to be here. Nina has eaten enough, so I'm leaving. Victor Wong placed Nina on the sofa and hurriedly slipped away. Nina's cheerful face suddenly turned gloomy, her dark eyes staring at Lu Ning. Lu Ning pinched Nina's small face. It's not that mother of the girl scared him away. Don't you want him to be by your side every day? Nina immediately nodded, and Lu Ning's gaze deepened. Mother of the girl has a plan. We can keep him here, and who knows, he might even become your dad. Come here, let me tell you. Nina leaned in to listen to her mother. Snowly silently sympathized with Victor Wong. He had fallen into the trap of these two. On the other side, as soon as Victor Wong got out of the car, he sneezed. This apartment was provided by Jiahua Entertainment, all people from the company. As Victor Wong entered the residential area, he saw a few people standing at the entrance, led by Kai West. Kai West sneered. Oh, the great contributor of our company has returned? Victor Wong, how was the taste of that woman over 50? Not bad, right? The others continued to mock him. Victor Wong heard this and coldly replied, Kai West, I have nothing to say to you. Step aside. Kai West walked up to Victor Wong and whispered, tomorrow you will witness the surprise I prepared for you. Victor Wong, don't even think about lifting your head for the rest of your life. Kai West coldly threw out a remark and led his group away from the residential area. After that, Victor Wong returned to his room, took a cold shower, and calmly lay on the bed. Suddenly, a cute emoji popped up on his phone, sent by a little girl. Seeing it made Victor Wong feel better, and he replied with a voice message. Nina, you need to sleep early. Lu Ning sat beside Nina, watching the two of them text. She had no way to contact Victor Wong, but Nina did. Nina held up her phone for her mother to see, then hugged the Barbie doll that Victor Wong had given her today, tucked herself under the blanket, and closed her eyes. Lu Ning looked on in suspicion. Nina usually didn't sleep until 11 p.m., and it was only 9 p.m. now. After Nina fell sound asleep, Lu Ning finally left the room. Snowly was waiting at the door, excitedly asking, Sister, have you managed to win over Victor Wong? Lu Ning tapped her forehead. Don't jump to conclusions. Then she said, the two bodyguards at the door were directly fired today. From now on, when Victor Wong comes to the Cam2 villa area, no one is allowed to stop him. Snowly was even more convinced of her suspicions. Her sister definitely had feelings for Victor Wong. The next morning, Victor Wong was awakened by the sound of his phone ringing. Answering the call, a frustrated female voice came through. Victor Wong, have you seen Hot Search? Your relationship with President Willow has been exposed. For the sake of the company's reputation, we can only cancel your role as the second male lead and change it to Chong Mingyang. Victor Wong, the company won't treat you unfairly. I'm hanging up now. Victor Wong's face showed no emotion, and he even felt like smiling a bit. He hung up the phone and opened the Hot Search list, seeing headlines like Victor Wong rises through his body and Victor Wong offers himself to President Willow, plus his Weibo account had been attacked. The current situation was beyond something he could handle alone. Victor Wong then sent a message to Nina. Is mother of the girl at home? Nina replied with a shaking head emoji. It seemed he still had to make a trip to Lu Ning's company. A little while later, Victor Wong arrived at Lu's group. He adjusted his clothes and walked in, only to be mocked by the receptionist again. He really didn't want to humiliate himself here. Just as she was about to turn and leave, Snowly stepped out of the elevator and immediately spotted Victor Wong not far away. Victor Wong, are you here to see my sister? Hearing this, Victor Wong smiled at her. I'm looking for General Manager Willow Ng. I have something to discuss, but I can't get in. Snowly turned her head and shot a glare at them. The others trembled in fear, repeatedly apologizing, while Snowly coldly said, just wait, my sister will definitely deal with you. Victor Wong, I'll take you to my sister's office. After that, Victor Wong followed Snowly into the elevator. Snowly apologetically said, Victor Wong, don't mind them. They're just like dogs. Victor Wong let out a bitter laugh. Forget it. Don't make it hard for them. There's no need for ordinary people to make things difficult for each other. Snowly could only think to herself, he will be my brother-in-law in the future. A big company like this will all belong to him. After a while, Victor Wong followed Snowly into the CEO's office. Through the glass wall, he could see Lu Ning in a meeting, sitting cross-legged on the sofa with a cold expression that made people tremble. The senior executives were all shaking, their tongues tied as they spoke. It seemed Lu Ning noticed him and raised her hand. Report next time. Today's meeting is over. As soon as she finished speaking, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Lu Ning stood up and walked over to Victor Wong in her high heels. What brings you here? Victor Wong looked down at her slender, fair legs and then slowly raised his head. Someone is trying to frame me. It's Kai West, the male lead this time. General Manager Willow Ng, can we withdraw the investment from the previous project? Snowly called her assistant over, and within 5 minutes, everything was clarified. I won't withdraw the investment. Victor Wong was surprised for a moment. It was true that this script had very high commercial value, but he still felt a bit disappointed. Lu Ning sat across from Victor Wong, arms crossed, and said, "No, I want you to play the male lead." Victor Wong was astonished. "Can I?" Kai West's uncle is the vice president of Tianshan. Lu Ning replied confidently, "I have my ways. Now go back and study the script carefully. If you have time, you can come here to visit Nina." Lu Ning stared intently at Victor Wong, while he felt so scrutinized that he lowered his head in silence. After a moment, Lu Ning asked, "Why are you treating me so well?" Hearing this, Lu Ning's expression softened a bit. "Haven't I already said? I want you to marry me." Victor Wong was once again left speechless by this statement. "Is it because Nina likes me?" "Actually, General Manager Willowing, you don't need to put yourself in such a position." Lu Ning quietly said, "I'm not putting myself in a position." Her voice was so soft that Victor Wong couldn't hear. She continued, "I'm serious. Marry me, and I'll give you 10% of the company's shares as my dowry. Besides, I don't need any bridal gifts." Snow Lee was astonished. "Sister, can we be a bit more discreet?" But Victor Wong changed the subject. "If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave and not disturb General Manager Willowing's work any longer." Victor Wong turned to leave. "Stop." Her cold voice carried a hint of anger. Victor Wong halted his steps. Could be that Lu Ning was angry. He turned back and smiled, asking, "Is there anything else, General Manager Willowing?" "Hand me your phone." Victor Wong handed his phone to Lu Ning. "She saved her number in his contacts. Call me if you need anything." Victor Wong took back his phone and continued to slip away. Lu Ning watched Victor Wong's figure leave, her icy demeanor gradually fading. "Snow Lee, investigate thoroughly who is behind this." Snow Lee pouted, "Yes, sister." She wanted to see who dared to bully her future brother-in-law. At this moment, Victor Wong was walking down the street, opening his phone, where another hot search appeared. Rising star Wang Huai speaks out for Victor Wong. Wang Huai was the eldest brother of Jiahua Entertainment and also the boss. Victor Wong looked at the name, gripping his phone tightly. On the other end, in a villa, Willowing was scolding incessantly. "Wang Huai, you are just too kind-hearted. Why are you worrying about him? Victor Wong hasn't been home even once since returning to the country. Clearly, he doesn't see us as family." The second sister also spoke coldly. "Wang Huai, you are just too kind-hearted. Have you forgotten who broke your leg? It was because of him that you had to lie in bed for a whole year. Don't contact him anymore. Delete Weibo." "Sister, he must not have done it on purpose. And besides, in the eyes of outsiders, Victor Wong is just my junior." At that moment, Victor Wong had just finished a delicious box of beef noodles when he received a call from Chu Dike. This time, her tone was incredibly gentle. "Victor Wong, the investors want you to play the male lead. Otherwise, she will withdraw her investment." "You can." Hearing this, Victor Wong let out a cold laugh. "Chu Chi, you've said it yourself. I'm not even worthy of the second male lead, let alone the male lead. Do you think I'm worthy?" Chu Dike lowered her voice. "You are worthy, Victor Wong. Rest assured, this time no one can take your position." Victor Wong replied coldly, "I will think about it." On the other end, Kai Pham saw that the online sentiment had completely changed, his expression shifting from green to white. Then he called, "On Hawaii." I don't know who it was this time that saved Victor Wong. Wang Hawaii let out a cold laugh. "It's just an accident. You keep a close watch on Victor Wong. Don't let him raise his head." Hanging up the phone, a cold smile appeared at the corner of Wang Hawaii's mouth. Victor Wong, the true master of the Vong family, is really being treated like a stray dog outside by him, right? Don't even think about returning to the Vong family in this lifetime. Just then, as Victor Wong was preparing to thank Willowing, there was a sudden knock on the door. Victor Wong opened it, but no one was there. A strong gust of wind blew through, causing Victor Wong to shiver in fright. Suddenly, he felt something soft against his leg. Looking down, he saw a cute little girl hugging his leg, holding a bag of goodies in her hand. Victor Wong smiled and bent down to pick her up. "Nina, did you come by yourself?" Nina shook her head and pointed behind her at her mother. Then, Willowing slowly approached. "Nina insisted on seeing you. I couldn't stop her. I hope I'm not bothering you." Victor Wong shook his head. "Not at all. I like Nina very much. Willow Tong, please come in." After that, Willowing entered Victor Wong's apartment and sat on the sofa. "What are we having for dinner tonight?" Hearing this, Victor Wong bent down to ask Nina. "Nina, how about I make beef noodles for you today?" Nina obediently nodded and handed the bag of goodies to Victor Wong. Willowing explained, "These are the snacks that Nina likes the most. She probably thought you would like them too, so she brought you a bag." Victor Wong looked at the packaging of the silly dog candy, while Nina looked up at him with her big, sparkling eyes, full of anticipation. Victor Wong smiled and said, "I really like it. Thank you, Nina." Finally, Nina smiled, her little hands tearing at the candy bag, but she struggled to open it. Frustrated, her cheeks puffed up, and she opened her mouth wide to take a bite. Victor Wong helplessly rubbed Nina's head. "Let me help you open it." Victor Wong opened the candy bag and placed it in Nina's hands, and she immediately brought the candy to Victor Wong's mouth. Victor Wong took a bite. Delicious. Nina, wait a moment. I'll go make beef noodles for you. Nina obediently nodded, munching on the silly dog can.